Hey T Squad, it's me Keish, and I am here with my top 10 best love and hip hop reality stars of all time. This is a video I have been wanting to do for quite some time because we all love and hip hop ever since it came out back in the mid 2000s. And I think you guys are going to be shocked on who lands on my list. Now, this is my list of people that I feel are the top 10 best loving hip hop reality stars, okay? I don't care if you agree with me, okay? It does not matter. Create your own list, okay? Don't try to argue with me in the comment section, weirdos. Okay, let's get into number 10. We got Suki. Yes, ma'am. Ever since she joined Love and Hip Hop Miami, I believe it was season 1, she was on the show, wasn't she? Or was it season 2? I don't remember. But as soon as she got on the screen, she made a splash. The standout scene for me, for Suki, is the scene where she and the girl that was dating Trick Daddy that season met up. And they had their little altercation, and she was taking off her shoe, talking about something. Her foot was hurting or something, and then the girl got to take it off her shoe, and it was a fight or whatever, and Trina and them came out, and Hood Brat and all. Like, that whole scene was absolutely insane. It was insanity. And the episode when her, Bobby, I think it was Hood Brat, and the other girl that's on Rap-ish right now, when they went on their tour, and it was just trifling, and they ended up in this white bar performing for them white folks. Child, it was just funny. Like, Suki is just so funny. Another funny scene to me was, I believe, maybe like 2 seasons ago, when she went to go visit her cousin at like this dollar store or corner store that he was working at. That scene was so funny to me. Like, Suki is just hilariously funny. She's intriguing to watch. Like, when she's on camera, you want to see what she's gonna say and do next. So for me, she is my number 10. Number 9, Moniece Slaughter. Yes, ma'am. Like, when she started on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood season 1, and Lil Fizz was making her out to be this horrible mom. She was unfit. She was crazy. She was insane. But we, the audience, ended up loving her. You know, she had her faults, don't get me wrong. But Moniece was paralyzingly funny. Her comebacks were always hilarious. The breakout moment for her on the show was when she snatched Lil Fizz's little girlfriend up across that bar and yanked her by her hair, child. That moment will forever go down in history, honey. But Moniece was just fearless. Her run-ins with Princess and Hazel Lee and all of these different people were just iconic moments. Like, her confessionals always left me in stitches. She had this resting bee face. When she became a lesbian, we experienced that, her ups and downs with Lil Fizz, and when her sex tape was leaked, and all of these different things. And I just remember when she decided to finally leave the show because she was just so sick and tired of being on Love and Hip Hop. She literally had begged to get out of her contract, but Mona wouldn't allow it. And her final season, she looked gorgeous, as you can see in this picture at the reunion. I mean, she just looked so good, and I just loved Moniece. I really do. It's kind of sad here lately. She's been seem like dealing with some mental health issues or whatever, but I just love her. I wish her the best. I wish her singing career would have taken off more, but that really wasn't a main focus from her. Yo, remember that scene when she was in the studio with Rockstar and she had a panic attack or whatever, and the ambulance had to come, and they didn't believe that she really had an asthma attack. They just felt like she wasn't comfortable enough to sing live. It's not funny, but it's funny. Child, Moniece, girl, we love you. You are my number 9. At number 8, we have Safari. I mean, how could I not include him on this list? I mean, he's literally been on every Love and Hip Hop franchise. He's been on New York, he's been on Atlanta, he's been on Miami, and he's been on Hollywood. He has made the rounds, and he's had really good storylines over the years. His best one by far was the whole fake storyline that he slept with Lyrica. It's come out in recent years that he and A1 were in on the entire thing, but they didn't include Lyrica in on the joke, which was so trifling. But that whole scenario was just crazy. The scene when he was with Ray J at the bar explaining to him the situation, and Ray J was turning his hat around 50 million times, that became a meme. The meme of Safari when he was at that picnic with A1 and Lyrica and their moms, and the mamas got to fighting and he just continued to eat. I mean, Safari is an idiot. Like, he literally is. We got to see him and Erica get married on the show, have their kids and all of that stuff. Like, he has really come a long way since his breakup with Nikki, and he has really made himself a reality star. And for that, I got to give him my number 8 top 10 best Love and Hip Hop reality star of all time. Now, y'all know K. Michelle was going to be on this list. K. Michelle, oh, she done shook the table. Would never get old. When she said that Rashida and Shawty Low, or whatever that joke was she made about Rashida being Shawty Low. Remember when her and Rashida almost fought that season and she threw like candle wax or a candle at her, almost started a fire, child. She went on to have her own spinoff shows. But my all-time favorite moment for K. Michelle that solidified her as one of the best reality stars in Love and Hip Hop history was season 6. Y'all know that's my favorite season ever of any Love and Hip Hop franchise. Season 6 was the best season ever of any of the shows for me. Was when Lyrica visited her while she was in rehearsals and getting the IV drip. And they end up arguing over the whole Safari situation, her accusing Lyrica of sleeping with Safari. And these two were literally arguing with microphones in both of their hands while K. Michelle had an IV drip in her arm. I have never seen a scene like that in my life. That was hilarious. Because who argues with a microphone in their hands? Like, they might as well have had a sing-off. Funny, honey. Like, K. Michelle reads down, honey. Reads down to the ground. Remember, who was that she bopped in the head with a bouquet of roses? Was it Carly? Was it Mimi? It was somebody, child. Like, Kay had so many legendary moments on Love and Hip Hop. I especially hated, and we all rooted for her first season when the girls turned their backs on her regarding her DV relationship with her ex, who was Toya's current husband at the time, Myth Hits, and how Rashida and the girls turned against her and didn't believe her story when it was in fact true. And it was just so messy the way that they treated her. But like, Kay is one person that knows how to Joan, honey, and just her and that red burgundy hair. We will never forget her impact on Love and Hip Hop. Yes, ma'am. At number 6, we got OG, original gangster, Chrissy Lampkin. Yes, ma'am. She kicked this whole Love and Hip Hop franchise off, her and Jim Jones. And I mean, she had to be on the list. Like I said, she's the original, she's the OG, and we'll never forget when her and Olivia and Emily met Samaya for the first time and was making fun of her shoes, child, at that club. It was so organic back then. Like, you don't have scenes like that no more on Love and Hip Hop. That was so funny because it was sad, but it was funny, child. And I mean, we all know the most iconic moment Chrissy ever had on the show was when she knocked the Mario coins out of Kimbella child on behalf of Emily. What other scene? When she proposed to Jim Jones. Oh God, that's still so cringy to this day. And they still ain't married. Good God. When she called Mama Jones a psychotic bee. Mama Jones went and made them psychotic bee shirts and spelled psychotic wrong. Child, I cannot. Where it went south for me was when Yandy came onto the show and she had such issues with Yandy. And I just didn't care for it because that was her job to manage him. And y'all relationship was interfering in the business side. And I just felt like she was overstepping her boundaries as a girlfriend. Remind you, she wasn't a wife. She was a girlfriend. But other than that, I really like Chrissy being on the show and everything. She brought a really forceful dynamic to the show. She doesn't back down. People are scared of her. And she was absolutely stunningly beautiful, you know, with all that thick, beautiful hair and everything. She was just stunning and had been a round-the-way girl in the hip-hop industry for so many years. We had heard about Chrissy Lampkin, and that's why she's number 6 on this list. Yeah, we don't like her right now. We ain't feeling her at all. No, ma'am. Culture vulture, racist, all of those things. But you cannot take away her impact on Love and Hip Hop, and that is Erica Mena at number 5. I mean, the girl had a slogan for Mena Mondays, you know, people tuning in to see Erica Mena. We first saw her on Keeping Up with the Kardashians in its early years when she worked at Dash, and then she joined Love and Hip Hop New York a few seasons in. And when she and Kimbella had that altercation, honey, and they were stumbling all over the place and throwing glasses, it was just a mess. Like, Erica couldn't fight to save her life. And came on to the show talking about how Kimbella made video girls look bad and all. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. But she was able to take that and foray it into a career as a reality star, honey. We saw her up and down relationship with Rich. One of her other standout moments is when he took her song away and she was in that studio crying and talking about you can't trust nobody, even the people you sleeping with. Then when she came back a lesbian, dating Sin Santana, we didn't know if it was real or if it was fake. Come to find out, it was a very real relationship. And then she got with Bow Wow and got engaged and thought she was too big for the show and left the show, honey. That didn't work out. She was gone for a few seasons. And then she came back to Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, where she began her relationship with Safari, honey, and they got married and had kids. And baby, that lady ain't been right since. That man then took her through the wilderness and back, child. And, you know, she has had quite a few infamous moments on Love and Hip Hop. And for that, whether it was bad or good, she has to make your list as one of the top in Love and Hip Hop history. Ray J comes in at number 4. I mean, Ray J is just funny. He's just funny. He's goofy. He ignorant. He always starting stuff. He is literally the mouth of the South, child. He's just a mess. But that first season of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood with the love triangle with him and Tierra Marie and Prinky, honey, it was just legendary. It was one of the things that made that show pop. We all remember the infamous scene, child, when Princess threw the drink in his face and he then pushed her in the pool. Till this day, I still don't understand how that lady laid down and had kids with him, let alone married him. But, you know, the scene where he brought all of Tierra Marie's stuff to an event that she was at. Just a mess, child. And him and Tierra Marie got back together at the end of the season. And then let's never forget when he put Hitmaker, Iceberg, Little Bird, whatever the little boy named, Young Bird, up to saying and lying at the reunion saying that Tierra Marie gave him top in the alleyway or something like that. And it was all a lie and all of those things. Like, Ray J is just a mess, a mess. He was always involved in somebody's drama, child. We saw him on so many occasions disrespecting Prinky. We saw their wedding on the show, the ups and downs with Princess and his mom, and his relationship with Brandy. He's just a cultural phenomenon. You got to give it to Ray J. He was able to really make his own lane with this show, and for people to stop looking at him like he was Brandy's brother. Like, nobody even associates him with being Brandy's little brother anymore, especially this new generation. They don't even know that he's Brandy's brother, that he's just Ray J. So yeah, Ray J, number 4, gotta give it up to him. At number 3, we have none other than Peter Gunz, child. I mean, how can we ever forget when Peter, Tara, and Mina joined Love and Hip Hop New York? I mean, that first episode when he was laying on that couch with them dirty feet. I got to go back and look at some of my old Love and Hip Hop New York reviews, because I remember tearing him up at the time. And that house they was living in, child, and how he had the nerve to be cheating on this woman and had 2 kids with her. And when we found out that him and Mina were married, and the scene when Mina and Tara linked up and showed her that she was legally his wife, and Tara slapped the dog-ish out of Mina. But it was the back and forth that they did for several seasons where they both were tussling for this man's heart. And it was just like, are y'all kidding me? At that time, he already had like 57 children amongst so many different women. And he was with Mina. She got pregnant, and Tara said, you ain't gonna one up me. Then Tara got pregnant, and then Mina was like, girl, I'm gonna get pregnant. And it was just back and forth nonsense all over Peter Dirty Feet Gunz, child. And then when he formed the Creep Squad with Rich and Elmer Fudd, Cisco, and Safari, I think at one point was even part of the Creep Squad. Stevie J was a part of this Creep Squad at one point. It was just like, this dude is a mess, like totally a mess. But baby, when they came onto the show, they took it and ran with it, and they had all of our mouths wagging for several seasons. So shout out to Peter Gunz for being number 3 on my top 10 best Love and Hip Hop reality stars of all time list. Now, y'all know Mr. Rat Face Stevie J himself was going to land on this list. Stevie J came on to Love and Hip Hop Atlanta its first season and made the show what it is today, which is a mega hit show that like launched into the stratosphere. Baby, we could not wait for Monday nights, 7-8 p.m. to come to see what was going to happen next on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The love triangle between him and Mimi and Jocelyn, we'd never seen anything like that before on reality television until then. It was pure insanity, from his rat face to him never having a car and walking everywhere or getting dropped off, child, because he had no license, to him telling Jocelyn he was gonna send her back to the strip club, child. The infamous scene when he got beat up by Jocelyn in the therapy session with him, Jocelyn, and Mimi, when him and Jocelyn fought Scrappy and Erica. I mean, it's just been so many moments, and he was like literally one of the biggest stars in that franchise and on that show. I don't know what happened that he's not on there anymore. But Stevie was a staple on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Like, he was the top guy when he was on the show. He even had his own spinoff with him and Jocelyn and all of that stuff at one point. But above all, it was the way he used to play in Mimi and Jocelyn's face, just outright telling lies. Remember when he basically told Jocelyn he didn't want the baby and she had to get unalive it and everything. And child, just that moment in season 1, episode 1, when he entered the club with Jocelyn and Mimi was there and had just found out about the fact that they supposed to be messing around, and how he ended up leaving with Jocelyn. And we were all like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this cannot be real. But it was so real. Oh my God. Like, Stevie was truly one of the best to this day. That's why he's number 2. Hey, mate. Now, you know, Jocelyn was going to be number 1. She is by far the biggest reality star of Love and Hip Hop franchise. I mean, she came in and wrecked ish from the first episode with her and that coiffed wig, that shoo-wop-doo-wop wig, and her confessionals, child, to, like I said, telling Stevie, you better get in this car. You better get in this car. We got to go to the studio. We ain't got time for all this. To the scene when she literally took a pregnancy test on camera, you guys. Like, oh my God, it was pure insanity. To her relationship with Carly, and Carly being messy and always running back and telling her business to people, to all of the numerous altercations that she had on the show with her and Stevie, her run-ins with Mimi. I mean, the biggest moment of all time for Stevie and Jocelyn was that infamous reunion when they beat everybody up. They tore the roof off of that reunion. I mean, Jocelyn beat up Althea, then she beat up Tammy, and then she beat up Mimi on the steps, child. I mean, she was like the Tasmanian devil at that reunion. Baby, her and Stevie was on one, okay? Her run-ins with Tommy, who she never wanted to fight for some reason, but now that we see Tommy can't even fight, maybe she was just assuming that Tommy could fight. I don't know. But we'll never forget the infamous scene when Jocelyn and Dime they run in the studio and she was throwing money at Dime, or Dime was throwing money at her. Child, it was just a mess. But that hey mate scene, the grandmama is the baby, or the baby is the grandmama. That line she said, like, Jocelyn just had so many funny lines. She didn't have any friends on the show, which was so funny to me, and they all hated her. Her and Stevie just went back and forth, back and forth. Remember that one season finale, I believe, when he had her and Mimi meet him and they were all dressed to the nines, and he ended up giving them both a ring and she went crazy ballistic. And remember when they were both saying they were married and we all knew they weren't married. I mean, Jocelyn was just polarizing. We had never seen anybody like her on reality television. And that is what has parlayed her into being a reality star queen, with her own television show and being on other reality shows. Like, she has really solidified herself as a reality television star. And it all started with Love and Hip Hop. Like, she literally was an unknown and was a stripper at the time and managing other strippers, and decided to become an artist. And all of it happened within weeks when you listen to her story. And she literally was the breakout star of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and carried that show for years when she was on it. And I remember when, you know, she left the show and then she came back for that one season of Love and Hip Hop Miami. And that was the same season she began Jocelyn's Cabaret in Miami. But yeah, you got to give it to the Puerto Rican princess, honey. You know, people thought she was a joke, but she was smart. She got her coins, and look at her now. Look at her now. So you guys, that is my top 10 best love and hip hop reality stars of all time. Let me know what y'all think about my list. Who would be on your list if you had to make one? Let's talk about it all down in the comment section. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.